Original versus remake. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. These two movies are a little divided amongst the fans of the franchise. The original obviously holds a place to many people's minds, but the remake, I feel like, for me and some other people, is an underrated, underappreciated remake. So let's go through it step by step. Leatherface. In the original 1974 film, Leatherface is played by Gunnar Hansen. And of course, he's the original Leatherface. It's hard to argue that he isn't the best because he did set the standard. He did sort of create, along with Toby Hooper, of course, he created the look for Leatherface, the mannerisms of Leatherface, the way and manner that he would wield the chainsaw and act whenever he's chasing after somebody or in the act of killing. But in the remake, Leatherface is played by Andrew Bryniarski. And I want to point this actor out because not only did he play Leatherface very well in the 2003 remake, but he also played him in the 2006 prequel. I'm not adding in that performance to this discussion, of course, but it's important to note that this actor is the only actor to play Leatherface more than once. And also, I just feel like Andrew brought a certain level of physicality to the role. He's one of the bigger Leatherfaces in the franchise, just as far as his build and the physicality. The scenes where he's running and chasing after people, it just, to me, it's more scary. Leatherface is not a character that talks or has a real level of personality. It changes and varies from film to film. I personally am going to give the win to the remake. But let's talk about the family. The family in the original 1974 film, we have the old man is how he's credited. Basically, he's the patriarch of the family. He's the one that sort of tells everybody what to do. And you have the hitchhiker, possibly the most memorable of the family, especially because he comes into contact with the group first. He leaves a lasting impression by how crazy he acts in their van and how creepy he is. And the scenes where he's chasing after Sally, and honestly, he seems almost as dangerous, if not more dangerous, because again, he's more aware of what he's doing. But also, they have a grandfather character who, I don't know how old this guy is. He seems like he's in his hundreds. He's one of the founding members of this cannibal family, and even though he's barely functional, even though he's barely alive, you see his skin is decrepit and he can barely move. Everyone else in the family is kind of helping him wield his arm to attack Sally and attack whichever victim that they attack. And so the idea of that is more sick than probably the execution. The family in the remake, though, you have the sheriff, quote unquote. Arlie Army plays the sheriff, and I would argue that he is almost as scary, if not more scary, than Leatherface, because once again, he is the planner. He is the one that's kind of behind everything that happens to the victim. He covers it up because he's the sheriff. He's sick. He's twisted. He gets enjoyment off of some of the stuff that he does, especially with the kids. And for me, he terrifies me. For me, he gets under my skin with how sick he is. This family just feels a little more fleshed out, feels a little more well-rounded, because not only do you have a mother, you have a little boy named Jedediah, who they don't exactly tell you whether or not he was taken possibly from another group. And also, what about other people in the surrounding neighborhood? This is the first film that sort of shows you that it's not just this one house that's crazy and filled with messed up people. This is a surrounding house that has this creepy, dirty woman who has another baby in her possession. And then you have someone known simply as the Tea Lady, who is very recognizable. And I'm going to give the win for the family to the remake. Now let's talk about the kills. The kills in the original film, we have the character Kirk, who was first killed by Leatherface with a sledgehammer, and that's always effective. And it's the first kill of this sort in the movie, so it definitely catches you off guard, and it's definitely disturbing. And then Jerry also gets hit with a sledgehammer and killed the same way. So at the time, yes, it's very messed up. But in rewatching it, it does feel like it's like, oh, okay, he dies the same way. It's the same exact way. And in a bloodthirsty horror crowd and a horror fan like myself, when you're just looking for more different types of kills, I guess that makes that a little underwhelming. The character Pam, though, she gets hooked. She gets hooked alive. And that's brutal. That's disturbing. And we don't even really see exactly how she dies. We just see her body later in a freezer. So I'm sure however she died, it was not quick and painless. Sally's brother, Franklin, his death is also disturbing because he's in a wheelchair. And I always thought that if you ever kill a character who's either disabled or in a wheelchair, it makes you that much more evil and twisted. And he gets chainsawed up to shit, and Sally even witnesses it. Let's switch over to the 2003 remake, where the kills in this film, Kemper, who is Aaron's boyfriend, he gets hit in the head with a hammer as well. When we see Leatherface later on in the movie wearing his face, it's a horrific reveal that his character is indeed dead. Pepper, she gets chainsawed to hell as well, just chewed up by the chainsaw, mostly her back, and she's screaming as it happens. The character Andy is running away from Leatherface, and he's running through the sheets that are hung up in the backyard, and he gets his leg chainsawed, thus leaving him unable to run away. And he gets hooked as well, hooked alive, and Aaron's the one who does the killing blow to him, stabbing him. And then the character Morgan, ultimately he's killed by Leatherface. He's chainsawed up between his legs. And my God, this is a lot more even when I think about it. But because it's more modern, because the kills are more in your face, I know some of the original fans are probably hating me right now, but I'm going to give the kills to the remake. Now let's talk about the main character, shall we? Sally is played by Marilyn Burns. And at the beginning, I don't want to say that there's nothing special about Sally. She just seems like your typical pretty blonde girl who, she's with her friends and brother and they're road tripping around. But it's more so what Sally goes through. It's more so what the torture and what the family puts Sally through, her being tied to the dinner table, her screaming. My God, the first time I saw this and heard her shrieks that felt like it continued for hours. Not only is it insane to watch, but I cannot imagine the actors having to shoot this. The very last shot of the film, where she narrowly gets away from Leatherface. She jumps into the back of the car and she's screaming and laughing maniacally because she is indeed driven mad. It's a haunting ending for a main character. In the remake, we have Erin, who is played by Jessica Biel. And yes, Jessica Biel is very easy on the eye. She is beautiful. She's gorgeous. But her character, she too goes through some messed up stuff. She too watches a lot of her friends all die one by one. It's not as if she just leaves and narrowly escapes. No, she has an opportunity to leave. She gets chased by Leatherface. She actually takes a chainsaw and cuts his arm off, which is one of the first times that Leatherface was seemingly mortally injured. She remembers that the family has a little baby that they stole. And instead of running off to save herself, she goes back to not only save the little baby, but she ends up killing the sheriff. And it's so satisfying. And I personally think it makes her character pretty badass as well. So once again, I give the main character win to Aaron. I'm sorry I had the remake win each and every category in this debate. I know it's just me. I know it's just my opinion. So I would love to hear what you guys think. What do you guys think is the better Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? The original 1974 or the 2003 remake? Thanks for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe for more of these type of videos. I would love some recommendations. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!